Hi, everybody. I am Andrea and welcome to Story Time. So I'm very excited. We have Stephanie Anne Webb with us today, and she's an empowerment coach and an encouragement coach, but she's also an author, a speaker, and she has her own podcast, Step Up. So I love telling stories. I think that it's so much fun to get lost in another time, in another place. I love children's books. So this show is going to be all about really highlighting authors and the great work that they're putting out there. So she's done a recent book, What Dragons Do, and it's about kindness and emotional awareness, which I absolutely love. So please help me welcome Stephanie Anne Webb. Hello, hello, hello.
Hi, Andrea. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so thrilled to have you. So encouragement and empowerment is difficult, right? Because a lot of times people are taught from the time they're children to look outside themselves for to be more. They need something else to really be the best person they can be. So I love that you're doing children's books and that you're teaching them that emotional awareness and kindness because this is really going to set them up for the course of their life. I think it's so important that we instill these messages when they're young. So
Yeah.
what made you decide to be an author, to write?
Well, I've always loved writing since I was a kid. I would set up my Barbies and I would just put a scenario and then I would write a story.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, it was fun. And writing was always my favorite class in school. But I didn't think I was good enough. That belief about yourself, because other people are better than me. I grew up with that belief.
Mm.
And because I also grew up with quite a lot of criticism. So that's why one of the things I love to do is help people, help encourage people and help them know that they can do things on their own. They can empower themselves. So this book actually came during COVID. I had stories of actual living with roommates and I would tell other people about them and they would start laughing. I thought, well, maybe I'll put this into a children's book because it's great awareness for kids. And if you use, because I have animals, dragon and two bears who live together, they're roommates. And so also this can help children who understand living
Differences.
with their siblings because most of the time they have siblings. And so I just thought, I'm just going to write it. And then it turned into, I self-published and it turned into a book and then people connected with it. So I thought, wow, I I enjoy can I enjoy connecting through stories. I always have. And so I think it's a great way to share awareness of things, especially with children, right? Because that's how we learn most of the time.
I 100% agree. And I think that a lot of people grow up feeling like they're not enough.
Yeah.
And, with the criticism. And I think that's generational. I think that like I don't think our parents deliberately expect us to have unmet needs in those areas or make us feel like we're not enough. But those are passed down through generation. Get a good job, become a wife, have children, all those things. You have to go to college. But it really does set people up to feel like they're missing in some area of their life. So I love that you're empowering children and you're teaching them that emotional awareness and how to be kind because kindness is everything, right? So,
Yeah, and we don't, I mean, as an adult, I know I didn't grow up with this, and also meeting other adults, we some of us weren't taught this. So when we're angry, we lash out. We don't understand what's happening. And so in the book, I talk about we can still be kind. We can still, when I'm angry now, I know that I don't have to lash out at others. I now know how to manage that within myself. I can still be kind even when I'm angry. And I don't really remember understanding that. And so as adults, if this is also a good book for adults, right?
yes,
If
yes, it
you've
is. It
never
sounds like it really is a good book for adults.
Yeah. So it's even in those moments we can take a moment. There's other choices we can make rather than lashing out or acting out in a certain way.
I love that. So I'm going to ask you to read a little bit of your story, and we are going to put the link where you can have access to her stories because there's multiple stories just in this book, but it will give you a way to really access this if you love what you hear. Okay?
Thanks, Andra.
You're very
So
welcome.
this is there's three stories, like you said. So this is the first one, learning to be kind. So this is Racer. So one morning, Racer was still tired after waking up. She had had a bad dream that night and didn't get much sleep. She decided to go back to bed after breakfast. The house was quiet, so she thought no one else was home. Racer was all snugly in bed and about to drift off to dreamland when she heard loud music. What could that be? Racer wondered as she sat up in bed. She realized it was the TV, and it was loud. Racer raced to the living room. Dragon was sitting on the couch, eating chips and watching her favorite cartoons. Dragon, would you please turn down the sound a bit? I didn't sleep very well last night and I need a nap. Pretty please. Racer asked in a very nice way. Dragon looked over at Racer with a grumpy face. It's my day off and I want to watch TV. I can do what I want. She wouldn't turn the sound down, not even a little bit. Racer was confused. She had just asked for the TV to be turned down. It was on full blast, and Dragon didn't need it so loud. Dragon, you can still watch TV while I nap. I just want you to turn it down so I can sleep, please. But Dragon was in a bad mood, and she didn't want to listen to Racer. Instead, she yelled at Racer. The TV is staying as loud as I want it to be. You can sleep tonight when it's bedtime. This made Racer sad and very mad. She was so upset that she cried. Racer called her groundhog friend Bobo and asked if she could come over to nap in Bobo's home. Bobo said yes, so Racer left the den and walked down the road to nap at Bobo's. Then we ask at the end of every chapter, what should Dragon do? Does being in a bad mood mean you have to be mean to others? Does it mean you can't find a way to also be kind? When we're in bad moods, it can be hard to want to be nice. Sometimes we say hurtful things or do something mean to someone, but that's not right. We still have to be kind. If Dragon wants to watch TV, she can. The only thing she has to do is turn the sound down so that Racer can have a nap. Then sorry, then everyone wins. Dragon still gets to watch TV on her day off, and Racer gets to have a nice sleep. It would have been kind for Dragon to turn down the volume.
I love that.
That's the
I,
first
I
story.
I love that. So,
That actually
but
happened with the roommates,
but you know,
like
it's
adults.
also teaching responsibility for how we act publicly and not just to be kind, but to learn to, I don't know, make compromise, right?
Right. Yeah, because it's like you can still watch TV. Nobody's saying you can't, right? But living together requires compromise and it brings so much more harmony because this is going to then cause friction and they're going to start being resentful of each other.
This is great. I think a lot of people are gonna love that. What's next for you with stories? Because I feel like that tells me you have a lot more stories to tell.
I do. I get so many ideas. I actually just finished a book called oh wait, what's it called? Chippy's Adventures, and it's about a chipmunk who falls into a river and he doesn't want to. Like he likes staying home. He's obsessed with looking for nuts. But he falls into a river during a storm and he goes on adventures and he meets other animals and he's learning about he learns about meeting other people and about working together, being hospitable, all these different things because of all the animals he's met along the way. So I just submitted that to two literary agents. I don't know if I'll hear back. If not, I will self-publish again. I just wanted to try and see if I could go with a literary agent.
Well, I think that's great. So, unfortunately, even to a lot of books that people do on children are really moral fibers. They're things that we really still should instill in our children on a day-to-day basis, right? In
Mm.
single family homes, that's not always possible. People are working, they're in school 8 hours a day, and they're really not covering these amazing topics in school, like how to be kind. It's
Yeah.
not something they teach. So, but even to get your books into libraries, it's a very long process.
It is. And I'm in Canada, and I don't know if it's different with the different areas that we're in, but people have said, "Is your book in the library?" Well, I've gone to the library. I did a few years ago when my book came out in 2021. And when I went in and talked to somebody, they're like, "That's a great idea, but you have to go online and submit it." So I did, and then you don't hear anything. So everything's online and you don't really get to talk to somebody. It just goes into this pile of like, yeah, we might
The
buy your
abyss,
book.
the
And
abyss.
same with schools. I actually just mailed my book out to a few schools. Like if you have the physical copy, maybe you'll see it rather than if I just send you an email, and I still haven't heard back. But this is so important for kids to learn. And like you said, they're not really teaching this in the schools. And there's a lot of my nephew goes to school, there's a lot of bullying there. um, we need to go back to teaching
Morals,
responsibility, morals,
morals.
kindness. And also, yeah, children are stressed out, their parents are stressed out, there's a lot of emotions. Like there's so much more that we can teach them.
My daughter's a teacher, and she
Mhm.
teaches very wee ones, so my books will be going for her to read. I
Nice.
said, Jacqueline, do you read to your children? She said, I do. I said, oh, good job. But I think that literacy is also down, right? Uh,
Yeah.
because everything is digital now. People could really search for information. And I think our children and even our adults are really missing getting lost in those stories. I would get lost in a story, another place and time for hours growing up. It was my still my favorite pastime. So I'm hoping to inspire people to really get lost in those stories again. And I think authors like you are just what this world needs to brighten that day and instill it, right? So a little fun, a little laughter. So you also do a podcast. Can you tell me a little bit about the podcast?
So I actually have two podcasts now. So my first one I started is called Steph Up Podcast, Steph Up. And I started that in 2020. It's about personal growth, mental health. I talk to a lot of life coaches and authors. That one's on hiatus. I did 3 seasons of that. And I just started another one called Soothing Words with Steph, where I read inspirational stories. I read affirmations, meditations, um, scriptures, whatever, in a very soothing voice. Because people have said my voice calms them down, or they even fall asleep to my voice. So that one is just launched. I think I launched that in January.
I love that. I wish you a lot of luck with that.
Thank
So if
you.
you could tell our children that are listening today anything, what would that be?
Oh, you are so worth it. You are worthy of love. You are worthy of living a wonderful life. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise. You have it within you. You could learn to love yourself, and that can take time for many of us. I know it took me many years, but you are so worth it, and you are amazing.
I love that. We're going to leave it on that note. Thank you so much for joining us here at
Sandra.
Storytime and meeting our wonderful guest today. Please help me welcome Stephanie Anne Webb and have a great evening. Take care.
Thank you.